Is having 10 priests at one altar better than having 10 priests at 10 altars? The modern church has embraced a firm yes. But decades before Pope Paul VI opened the door to rampant concelebration, a Dominican theologian, now a cardinal, stood up at the Second Vatican Council and begged the fathers to stop. Bishop Athanasius Schneider, the fierce traditionalist who survived Soviet gulags, has brought this prophetic voice back into the light. Schneider praised Archbishop Paul Pierre Philippe 1962 conciliar speech as one of the most doctrinally and liturgically sound contributions of the entire council. In his landmark 2022 book, The Catholic Mass, Schneider declares that the ritual form of Eucharistic concelebration introduced after the Second Vatican Council is certainly contrary to the entire tradition of both the Eastern and Western Church. There's a quiet crisis happening in sacristies today. A priest sits alone, watching the clock. His personal mass is forbidden because the community must concelebrate. Archbishop Philippe predicted this collapse of priestly identity with terrifying accuracy, citing Pope Pius XII's 1947 encyclical Mediator Day. He argued that the power of the Mass flows from the priest being an Alter Christus, another Christ. The priest lends his tongue and gives his hand to the Redeemer. When he celebrates alone, the faithful see the image of Christ the priest. But in a noisy concelebration, the priest gets lost in the crowd. The uniqueness of his sacramental character is buried under the weight of practical convenience. Philippe warned that this leads to a dangerous consequence. Priests will gradually feel less like an Alter Christus, and their Eucharistic piety will diminish. The enemy is not the liturgy. It is the slow, spiritual anesthesia of routine. Canon law and the Council itself protect the private Mass. The Council of Trent dogmatically defined that private Masses are truly public acts because the Church herself prays through the priest. Yet after the Council, the practice of daily Mass facing the people crushed the divine office of the individual priest. The evidence is overwhelming. In 2021, the Vatican banned private Masses at the side altars of St. Peter's, forcing multiple priests to crowd onto one stage like actors in a play. French canonist Claude Barth has shown that mandating concelebration is a human invention with no basis in the Council's texts. It was a fabrication of the liturgical innovators designed to publicly humiliate priests attached to the traditional Latin Mass and force their compliance. Archbishop Philippe's warning is more urgent today than 50 years ago. Practical convenience has crushed the solitary dialogue between a priest and his God. The aim has always been unity. But forced unity is not the communion of saints. It is the abandonment of the sacrificial priesthood. Bishop Schneider is asking the hard question: which will the modern church extinguish first, the fire of the altar or the lamp of the individual priest who stands there alone?